So guys, before we get started, don't forget we do have that amazing discount code thanks to Tier 0 Games going on right now. And all you have to do is put in ZWGames5 to get 5% discount on your total order at tier0games.com. The links will be in the description below, so check those out for massive discounts on all your Hidden Summoner needs as well as all your other Yu-Gi-Oh needs. But let's get on with the profile.
What's up YouTube, Dow here from Zephyr Wargames. First of all, it is the 25th of December, so Merry Christmas to all of you out there. Hopefully you got everything you wanted, or your pulls are blessed and you got pretty much Boral Swords, Bells, anything you wanted to be drawing, you got those. So from all of us here at Zephyr Wargames, again, a very Merry Christmas. I know I've had a bit of fun. This is very, very early on Christmas morning already, so I thought I'd get this video up to you fresh and new for everyone out there. So, I'm going to be bringing you a different kind of video today, hence the new setup. Santa Claus might have had something to do with that. So, basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be bringing you guys 3 tips. My personal tips. I took this around with the Zephyr guys as well, and we kind of come up with 3 tips to help all of you guys out. Now these tips might not necessarily make you the world's best or anything like that, but these are our personal tips from experience that we've kind of gone through, and we believe that sharing them with you guys will make you a better duelist or just get you back into the game a little bit more. So we'll start off with number 1, and that is research. Research is incredibly important, both researching your deck and your opponent's deck, or of course the meta of the time, is very, very important. Now under research, what I'm putting under there is stuff like meta reports from both the OCG and TCG, so you can kind of see what decks are making their way up in the format coming to us. The best thing is the OCG are a step ahead of us. Now, yes, their ban lists are a little bit different, so you can't always judge and go by what they are doing as Chronicle, but for example, stuff like Summon Sorceress, Needle Fiber, Salamangreats right now as well, they're all very, very popular in the OCG, and you can kind of see why. So researching deck lists of certain decks you're interested in, or of course certain cards, allows you to see how they operate, how they work. Now don't overdo it in a sense that you don't want your mind to be bogged down with so many different OCG rules and plays and stuff like that. You just want to have a quick glance and go, right, okay, I need a Needle Fiber, this is why I need a Needle Fiber, or maybe I need a Summon Sorceress, this is why. Salamangreats look like a good deck to invest in, so I'll pick these up early enough and stuff like that. Obviously TCG metas. Now America's metas differ a little bit from the British metas in the sense that sometimes they'll have cards that we don't, like Summon Sorceress for a biggest example. Other than that, of course, you can always review the American TCG's kind of meta reports in the sense that you'll see what difference a Summon Sorceress will make, but 9 times out of 10, sometimes they do marry up and they are pretty much similar. So you get to see what decks are doing really, really well in the American TCG and what decks are doing well in the European TCG. And like I said, 9 times out of 10, they're pretty much similar. So, research the meta decks. That is very, very important. Try to learn what you're going to be facing. Now, 9 times out of 10, when a deck is meta, you will face a god-awful amount of them. Examples like Cosmos. When Cosmos were in meta, that was the deck you was always going to be facing up against. If you're going to be facing up a Mirror and you're playing Cosmos too, research that matchup. If you feel that you're going to play something completely different, again, still research the deck. Know your opponent's deck as well as they know it, if not a little bit better, because if you know what they're playing, number 1, you won't get caught out. Now, misplays happen. It's just something in the game. Some people don't understand some of the cards, some people read them a different way, but it means that you don't get caught out on these certain misplays if you know their deck just as well. It also lets you know when to interrupt them, so if you've got Ash Blossoms, Ogres, Hand Traps, anything like that, it makes you know when to interrupt them as possible. Now, there's certain things you can't control and you can't research. In games, luck happens. Just sometimes you'll draw badly, your opponent will draw amazingly well. Sometimes you'll draw amazingly well, your opponent will draw badly, and you just go off with it. So that's where we lead into research your own deck. Now this moves on to our point number 2, which we'll get to in a second, but researching your own deck. By that, what I mean is once you've chosen a deck that you want to go with, research, don't necessarily net deck, because what works for one person may not work for you. What you want to be doing is you want to be looking at different profiles. Sometimes you'll see some cards or text that people are putting in that you go, oh wow, I didn't think about that. I understand why that works. Maybe that's a good thing to trial out. If you try it out, it may work well for you, it may not. So it then eliminates possibilities. It broadens out your perspective on your deck and the ways of playing your deck as well. So definitely looking at combos and deck profiles around your deck and definitely matchups to kind of see how it works out can be very, very useful for you. But of course, there's only so far that research will get you. And that's why we lead on to point number 2, and that is, of course, practice. Practice makes perfect. Now, that is an incredibly good saying, and it's true, it does. There are many forms of practice, and some of the practice that I like putting in is test hands myself. So with decks, I like to kind of play through and go, okay, this is the hand I've drawn. I like to physically play with the cards. Online can get you so far, but we'll get to online in a second. So I like to do test hands. Now with these test hands, what I'm able to do is I'm able to see, right, okay, this is a bad hand. How far can I get with this? This is a good hand. How far can I get with this? And then I'll also like to go, right, this is my best hand. But let's say my opponent has the Ash, the Ogre, the perfect counters to my hand. What could I end with? What am I able to bait my opponent out with? Now obviously you can't read an opponent's mind that doesn't exist. But of course it does let you get into a mindset of saying, okay, if my opponent chooses to negate this, I have this option. If my opponent chooses to do this and I'm kind of stuffed, so I need to try to find ways to either stop my opponent negating it or battle away with my opponent doing so and kind of predict and produce a board that still allows me to stay in the game with the specific deck that I've chosen. Online. Now, practicing online is a great way of kind of getting used to some rules. Now, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, Dev Pro, stuff like that, the rules aren't perfect. Sometimes they do have bugs, sometimes they do have glitches that don't let you do things. But what they're very, very good at is when you have a rule and you're like, right, okay, why can't I do this? Or when I'm physically testing, for example, when I'm physically testing, oh, I can make Thunder Dragon Colossus with 2 Thunder Dragons, not the original Thunder Dragon. And you go, that's cool, I use Thunder Dragon Fusion, 2 Thunder Dragons, excellent, I've made it. Then you'll try online and it won't let you do it, and you go, why is that? I've been doing it for so long, playtesting, and then you're trying to figure out why the online bot won't let you make that play. And that is a very, very good way to learn, especially if you don't understand the cards themselves or you've had a bit of trouble reading them, anything like that. Sometimes it does come down to misconception. But what it does mean is you're able to look back at it and go, okay, maybe it means the original Thunder Dragon. That explains why I can't do it. That, again, allows you to figure out your plays before being in a big tournament where you either make a misplay or you make a play like that, your opponent calls you up on it, or, of course, you make a play like that and you're showing your opponent cards that they didn't already know. You're giving them more advantage or more knowledge. So being able to practice both online gives you those kind of clarities and physically gives you those kind of clarities as well. And there's one thing that online can't give you that physical can, and that is the actual feel of your cards, the shuffle. Nothing is left down to a bot. This is all general reality. This is how your deck will feel. This is how your deck will shuffle. These are the cards that you will draw. There's no third party involved now. Of course, the bots online, there may not be third parties involved, but you know, you always have that sense in the back of your head that, hang on, maybe this isn't how it will go down in real life. So that is practicing both of those as well. Now, what I'd also like to suggest is online as well, practice a meta deck. Or, of course, practice, if you choose, for example, if Sky Striker is the main meta deck, and you're playing Prank Kids, for example, test the Sky Striker deck. Take a deck list that's recently won an event offline and net deck it. Put it online, or if you wanted to print out proxies if you don't have the cards, or if you do have the cards, build the deck yourself. Have a play around with it. Just so you can kind of see in your mindset, which also leads on to research, what cards do what and how you would perceive the deck and how you would play the deck. This then allows you to have that physical idea and understanding of the deck as well. So both practice and research kind of go one in one with this kind of sentence. So after you've done a lot of research, you've done a lot of practicing, you should know your deck inside and out, and you should have a fairly decent knowledge of the main meta decks. And I'm not saying go out there and test all decks that could possibly turn up at an event, because of course, for example, YCS Milan, no one would be testing against Prank Kids. They'll all be testing against Sky Strikers, the FTK, Rongo Bongo, Turbo, and stuff like that. Finally, in the practice thing, do not be afraid to be different. Different actually helps a hell of a lot, and we saw quite a lot of that throughout this year. For example, Tom Rose with the UK Nationals took everyone by storm when he won it with BA, and that was because he was being different. Now, of course, there might have been a couple of other BA players out there, and Tom, of course, knows the deck inside and out. BA's was so different that no one expected it. Everyone was preparing for Sky Strikers, Dracos at the time that was still around, Autoguy, stuff like that. No one expected BA. And the exact same thing can be said about YCS Milan with, of course, Prank Kids. No one was prepared for them. that person chose to be different, and by being different, he caught so many people off guard that no matter how much practice you put in, some people just aren't prepared for that matchup, and that actually gets you wins as well. So certain stuff like that can also catch people by surprise, especially in certain games that I've played. People go, why are you still playing Ghost Ogre? And they make plays going, right, I'm worried about an Ash, I'm worried about a Bell, I'm worried about a Caught by the Grave. They don't even consider a Ghost Ogre, and the second you drop that, their whole play just crumbles. And that's where you've caught someone out because you're playing something different. Of course, Tom Rose did it with the BA when he was playing Gallus and Rescue Cat into the Beast Elephant that then allowed him to make Nat Beast as well. So it's certain little techs like that can really, really help. So definitely when you're practicing and researching and doing both of those points there, make sure you're not afraid to be different. Always try and make things work for you. Now, like I said at the start, a deck list that works for one person may not necessarily work for yourself. So 9 times out of 10, when we do deck profiles on here, we're not saying for you to copy it bit by bit. We're trying to say, here is the standard structure. For example, in all my Dark Magician decks, standard structure, 3 Dark Magician, 3 Magician's Rod, and then the rest kind of alternate from there on. You then have your different choices. You might want to go for a fusion variant. You might want to make sure that Itemize is your main protocol to get into your fusion extra deck monsters. You might want to make it a rank 7 base deck. That is entirely up to you, and that is what makes you individual out there. That is what means you're never going to see a deck that will be 100% identical. I almost guarantee that to you now. Whether you're going locals or to a main event, I will be very, very surprised if you have 2 decks that are the exact same number in main deck, side deck, and extra deck, and the exact same cards in all 3 areas. There will always be a bit of difference, and that is the individuality in every single duelist out there. Now, finally, our third and most important point of all, enjoy. The first 2 mean nothing if you're not enjoying the game. If you want to go out there and pick up a Sky Striker deck or whatever the main meta deck is, for example, Thunder Dragons, and you play it but you're not enjoying it, what's the point? Make sure that you're playing something that you enjoy. At the end of the day, even if you're not winning all your games, you're still going to be enjoying it. Now, we're not telling you these points so you go out and be like the number 1, like I said at the start. This is to still enjoy the game and, of course, enjoy playing different decks. Once you're enjoying the deck, of course, that then allows you to understand it a little bit more, catch people off guard, and you'll start to gradually win. You don't just become a champion overnight. You don't become the number 1 YCS winner overnight, or, of course, Worlds winner, Euros winner, anything like that. It takes a lot of practice, a lot of research, and, of course, each individual one of them players enjoys playing the deck that they do, and that just makes it a lot easier to play and kind of move forward with. Of course, don't be afraid to move decks and change decks if something doesn't feel right for you. We're not saying stick to a single individual deck. But what I will also note towards the end as well is there's only so much practice, research, and enjoyment you can get from a single deck. So make sure you don't overdo it and make sure you change up. That's why people like playing GOAT format for a bit of refreshment. Or, of course, make sure that you take a break. Do not test 24/7, 7 days a week, because your brain will start to melt and you'll overdo it. Just enjoy it. And, you know, that is what we do the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! For 9 times out of 10. Everyone is there to enjoy the game and enjoy playing and using it the way we love it. So, they are our 3 kind of tips. Now, I hope these have kind of helped you. Like I said, we're here to provide as much information as we can. We like to be a bit more fun. You can definitely see by the amount of Joe's decks that he likes to be experimental, and you can see the enjoyment that he gets from each deck. If you have any questions for us, by all means, try and get hold of us on the Facebook page. That is the best way where we can talk to you guys back and forth. If you don't have Facebook, by all means, use the YouTube channel, comments in the description below, and we'll be more than happy to answer them and come back with any answers that we might have. On top of that, we hope you enjoy all of our content for the rest of this year, although there's only a week left, and we hope you'll all be joining us in 2019, where we'll be able to bring you even more content. Now, if there's anything in particular you want to see, deck lists, or deck profiles, combo videos, test hands, anything like that, then let us know. Put them in the comments below and we'll get to them as soon as we can. As you can imagine, it can get quite busy trying to put all these videos together for you guys. We enjoy doing it, which is why they keep coming. So just bear with us. We will get to them as soon as it possibly can. Like I said, I personally like making physical decks, which is why sometimes if we don't have the cards for certain areas, we try to look elsewhere. We try to find some of our friends that have those decks as well and get them to profile them for you. We want to make sure that they're our enthusiasm for the game is coming across to you guys as best as it possibly can. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this type of video. If you did, I'll be more than happy to do more types of videos like this. And hopefully there'll be a bit more of my face on the videos, unless you guys don't want it. And then, of course, we'll go back to just the voice over the deck profile. But for now, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Have a very Merry Christmas. And until next time, guys, as always, happy dueling. What's up, YouTube? Thanks for watching that video. I hope you liked it. If you did, hit that like button. And of course, don't forget to hit that big red subscribe button in the bottom left-hand corner and the notification bell so you don't miss out on anything. We've got more deck profiles, duels, pack openings, and many more Yu-Gi-Oh videos coming up for you all year round. So don't forget to stay tuned for all of that. Thanks, and as always, guys, happy dueling.